So 13.4 is be in the know. K-N-O-W. Be in the know. What's that mean? If your child comes to you as a parent or a teacher, but we're referring here more as a parent, that of course is the best scenario, as opposed to you finding out from a friend or from a neighbor or from the teacher, or from the principal. You want to hear it from your son, your daughter, that she thinks she's being bullied or says she's being bullied. Now you can get all sorts of children. Some kids are like, I'm going to paint two scenarios which are extreme. One is like a radio that you can't turn off. The moment they come home, they're telling you everything that's going on in their life. And then you got some kids who are like not radios at all, and you can hardly get more than one word out of them. Yes, fine, okay. And this could be like 11, 12, 13, for sure, 16, 17, 18. But what I'm describing here is you got all sorts of kids. Some are like radios, some are more on the silent type. The radio kid, hey, he has no off button. And even though that may be true, he might be too embarrassed to tell you that he's being bullied. So as much of a radio he could be, or she, it doesn't mean they're not telling you everything. It could be they're not telling you everything. So you want, again, rapport. Even with the radio kid, you want rapport, because it's the rapport that's going to make the child feel safe to open up to you. We're going to talk about how do you do that where the rapport is not necessarily strong. Also, sometimes bullied kids are afraid to tell their parents what's really going on, even if they're a radio, because they're scared that if the parents do something about it, they'll be even more embarrassed and humiliated. So they're scared their parents might interfere, like call the teacher, or call the bully's parents, or call the school. And it becomes a whole big deal. And the kid is worried about that. So even if you've got a kid who is a radio, it doesn't mean that he or she is not keeping quiet, because they've got their reasons. So that points again in the direction of, I really do need to have rapport, that the kid feels safe, that I'm not going to do anything without talking it through with them. Or they're worried that I might respond by telling them to do something that they're not ready to do, like stand up to the bully. If they didn't go through what we're describing in the various activities, exercises, in how the child has to start noticing that I exist over here and the bully exists over there. And when his words enter my brain, it's only words that are translated in my thought. And I don't have to take my thoughts so seriously, because they are only thoughts in that moment. And the next thought is a different thought. It doesn't have to be the same thought of feeling lousy, intimidated, depressed, sad, lonely, whatever the negative thoughts are. So moving forward on this, sometimes kids, even if they are radios, they will be afraid to tell me what's going on, because they're afraid the parent might side with the bully. Oh my gosh, yeah, that could happen. Sometimes a kid might have the courage to tell a parent that they're being mistreated in the way someone's touching their body. And this kid could get a slap in the face from the parents, say, how dare you tell lies about your uncle or aunt or whoever it is. And now the kid is really broken, because, one second, you're supposed to be my guardian, my parent. Hello, you're supposed to be my advocate. So if I don't have you, my father or my mother, to be on my side, and you're taking the other person's side, I have nobody really to defend me. So I'm completely on my own. So there can be some extreme situations, which again will point reasons for me to build rapport in the home between all of my children. There's another possibility that the parent just won't believe the child, take the side of the bully, and the kid will collapse internally. We don't want that. On the other side, you've got the silent kid, or the one answer kid, who just gives one word answers. And he might need more developing, or she might need more developing in a comfort level to talk straight with mum and dad. So how do you do that? Well, it's not that complicated. I really need to find ways to enter the world of that child. So what are their favorite sports? What are their favorite hobbies? What type of books do they read? And just enter their world and start experiencing, whether it's, let's say, Harry Potter. Now you can talk about the different personalities. I'm not giving a lecture to Harry Potter. I'm just saying that enter the world of the child And in doing so, now you've got a common communication language about a similar hobby or sport or book or type of book that he reads or she reads. And this is how you can enter their world and build rapport with them. If you want to score big points fast, meaning the kid is now 11, 12 years old, and you want to start. I've been so busy building my business in the most formative years of my child's life that I was just not there for them. And now I feel like I got to make up for it. Okay, so there are ways to accelerate rapport. One way, but it's got to be genuine, it's got to be real, is to share with your kid what's going on in the adult world. But do it in a very mature and non-fearful way. So for example, talking about the birds and the bees and being very honest about the birds and bees with your children, not in any special detail. We've discussed this before, and you'll find there's a lecture on this subject that you can get from the website jewishinspiration.com or breakthroughchinuch.com. It'll take you to the same place, and click on lectures and look for, I think it's Successful Parenting Lecture Series, and you click on the title, How and When to Speak to Your Children About the Birds and the Bees. So you can download it from there, or you get a CD version of it, if at the time that you're watching this, you even know what a CD is. And if you don't, then just Google Natural History Museum souvenir shop, and you can probably get one from there. So anyway, the point being that if you share with your child things that are going on in the adult world in a very mature way. So for example, tell them how a mortgage works. If you're paying a mortgage, I hope you're not, or I hope you finish paying it, but if you're, and even if you aren't, or you can still talk to your kid about how mortgages, how do people afford to buy their own home, and explain how a mortgage actually works and how interest works and how the first mortgage payments for the first 15 years is much more interest than principal. Explain what principal is and what interest is. And then last 15 years, it starts to go in the other direction and you're paying more principal than interest. So that the first payments are 99.9% interest and 0.1% principal. And then by the last payments, it's going more towards 99% principal and 1% interest. But the first 6 years, you're spending approximately 94 to 100% interest on every single check towards the mortgage. And that's where the mortgage companies know they make a lot of money, because they also know that the average American refinances every 6 years, which means he starts the debt all over again. So explain how mortgages work. Explain that you've got tax deductions because of the mortgage. So explain, talk to your child in a way that they can understand how your credit card works, how your bills work, and show them your electric bill, your gas bill. Show them how you shopped around to find the best energy service that would give you the best quote for the kilowatts of energy that you are spending on electricity, for the gas, etc. So let your child enter your world, and that helps to build rapport, because you're bringing the adult world into the child's mind. And the reason why I'm saying that you should do this, because it's much better that they learn about the adult world from their parents than the street, because the street is going to tell them the street's version. And you can almost bet your bottom dollar that the street version of almost anything is going to be a corrupted version, whether it's going to be about relationships, whether it's going to be about money, financial responsibility, whether it's about happiness. Yeah. Drink this, it'll make you happy. You can't possibly be happy until you're drinking it, or smoking this brand, or driving this car, or vacating this island, or wearing this brand of clothing, or until you are on this diet or this exercise program, then you're going to be happy. So it's all outside in definition of happiness, and the Torah's definition is inside out. The one who is enjoying what he already has. Help children, talk to them honestly about the real world, and give them your Torah mindset of reality. They're going to have a whole new respect, and it builds rapport very quickly. Moving forward, the message here is, you as an adult are comfortable to talk to your kid about anything. And in doing so, you want your kid to feel comfortable to talk to you about anything, because you're showing that you're not being judgmental, and you're willing to share the real world with them, even if you're going to be talking to them about marriage, the bird and the bees. This is so important because the Torah is not silent on it. You can Perek Aleph Pasuk Chav Ches is already the mitzvah of Puravu. You've got some descriptions of mad, crazy behavior that's taking place already in the flood, Perek Vav and Zion of Bereshis, and then you move a little bit forward, you got homosexuality and Sodom in Perek Yotes. The Torah is not shying away from terrible aveiros that mankind was capable of, and it's there in the Psukim. And by being more open with your children from a Torah framework and from a parent, the kid's anyway going to find out a very corrupted version from the street. So you may as well get to them first. But this is part of helping build a rapport so that you're preparing the fertile soil, which is what rapport really is, the fertile soil for when they need to share the burden of them feeling intimidated or victimized or traumatized by a bully in school or wherever situation they find themselves in, on camp, a weekend away with some friends and cousins. You want to be the first address that they feel safe to go to. So these are some suggestions of how to build rapport in the home. If there's a particular scenario that you are even proud of, in what you feel you personally triumphed in a challenge that was really not easy, and then you found a solution. It could be in the workplace, it could be in the change of career, which was a very big decision that you made. And tell your kids about it in a way that helps them understand you went through a struggle and you went up, down, up, down, up, down until you got yourself out of it and moved on, and then built up your own business or went into a partnership with a family member instead of someone who you thought was honest, and help the kids feel, Dad, Mom, feel very comfortable and safe to talk to me about almost anything. That is what's building rapport for when/if they need someone to talk to about what they're going through. Because you don't want it to come from the street. And when I say street, I say that as like a general title, but the subtitle of that is internet, cell phones, social media. They're going to find out about the world without even the effort of pressure on a screen. Just tap it. You can hardly even tell you touched it. And hey presto, literally, the whole world is at your fingertips. Literally, not figuratively, not metaphorically, literally. The whole world is at your fingertips. And therefore, the kid will probably find out about whatever it is. So you want to get there first. And for them to feel comfortable, I rely more on what Mom says or Dad than Wikipedia or social media or fake news. CNN. Oh, well, same thing. Probably same gematria. Okay, so let's move forward. I don't want to make this into a political... kids feel safe to talk about school. And one way to help them feel safe is to ask them more specific type questions. Now, when I say ask them questions, don't ask questions in a way that the kid is going to interpret this as, uh-oh, here we go. You're going to gruel me, and you're going to ask me all the questions. This can be done over days and weeks, and it can be very casual. But the fact that you've got rapport means the kid will let you in. He will not reject you. So, for example, taking genuine interest. You're not prying. You're not being mommy detective, daddy policeman. You are taking genuine interest, and that's where the rapport comes in. Because the child knows you genuinely care, genuinely love, genuinely want to be there for them if there's ever anything wrong, that's when you're now able to get away with the questions that I'm about to share, that the child will let you in because you've got rapport. So, for example, home in on the times which and places where bullying is most frequent. So, for example, I'm going to just touch on 3 items: bus time, recess, and between corridors. That's between classes. So bus time, Oh, how was the school bus today? It's just a simple question. Do you have set places? Do you sit next to the same person every time? Does the bus driver ever have to shout at anyone? See, that's a telltale. Let the kid say, "Oh yeah," and starts telling you all about the kid on the bus who gets shouted at and why. Do any kids ever push others out of their seats? Is it the same kids each time? Has it ever happened to you? So these are not prying questions necessarily. These are the type of questions you can ask that are very specific, but because you have rapport and you take interest and the kid loves you and knows that you're asking not in order to. You've been pushed out of your seat by whom? Him? I'm calling his mom right now. If your kid knows the slightest chance that you might go in that direction, and that all these questions was just like get out of you, that you're being bullied, they're probably not going to want to open up, and it could really hurt I'm not going to say destroy, but it could really hurt the rapport as well. So it's not about prying, policing, investigating. This is about, you've got a good relationship to start with, so you're going to be able to get away with questions that are targeted, maybe not the right word, but targeted questions to get straight to the point and let your child open up. Now, do remember that according to halacha, a child is posel le'edus. So whatever they're going to tell you, you can take as a simon, not a raya. You can take that as something to be concerned for and to look into, but not necessarily as what really did happen. Moving on. Recess. What do you enjoy playing the most in recess? Who do you play with? Is everyone allowed to play? Has anyone ever kept out of the game? Do they ever exclude you? You may not ever have to ask these questions because you may know your kid too well. He comes home happy, she comes home happy. But these are some of the ways that when you do have rapport, you can get away with these type of questions. Is everyone part of the game? Okay, so help your child open up when they are ready and always on their terms. That's part of rapport. Okay, 13.5. When they say they have been bullied, now what? So, first of all, should I get hysterical? Panic? No. Anxious? No. Be calm. Super calm. Even though the most obvious reaction of any caring parent, especially nowadays where bullying is kind of magnified, and I'm not here to downplay bullying. As you see, I've given you how it can play out into adult life to the most extreme cases, whether it's suicide or whether it's chronic pain that's self-induced, etc. It can go very, very far. And the but is a serious but. It's enormous. It's a but that cancels out everything once we know that nobody can bully me without my permission. If I know who I am and how life really works inside out, in my mind, in my thoughts, and the next thought, the next thought, the next thought. So we do want to build resilience in a very real way for our children, but if the child is saying, I'm being bullied, and gives you examples of it, you want to watch out for screaming and getting hysterical and reacting, because very likely the child will say, I'm never going to tell my mum, I'm never going to tell dad ever again what's going on in school, because they don't want to get more embarrassed than they already are. So if I do get tense, my kids will know something's wrong. And their natural resilience is not going to surface so easily because they'll feel helpless. Because mom is like freaking out, dad is getting really angry about, I know those parents, I'm calling him right now. And I feel helpless because now you are really saying a very disempowering message. I'm helpless, you've got to jump in, police the whole situation. And in that type of scenario, you're not helping me reveal the inner strength that I have already to be able to stand up to what comes my way. And by making me helpless and by saying you're going to speak to the teacher, to the parent, the principal, before we get to that, and that might be appropriate, but first, let's explore the best way to handle once the kid comes home saying, I'm being bullied. So you and I know the child needs responses from the parent that's going to support the child, meaning help the kid be able to handle this. But if I start freaking out with anger and anxiety, and I knew, I bet the parent, I always knew something was wrong with the parents. It's exasperating the problem in such a way that leaves the kid helpless. I can't talk to my parents about anything. So we actually lose than win. So what's the right thing to do? So 13.6 of this is make a reality check. What's a reality check? So let's just find out what really happened as best we can. Number one, were you hurt? Are you okay? Number two, was this a one-time offense or has this happened before? And ask the question in a very calm way that reassures the child that there's no judgment. And if you think your kid is anxious about this, you can tell them up front. I'm telling you now that we're not going to do anything about this that you haven't agreed to, that we're going to plan this together, and whatever we do is because you agree that that's what. So you want the kid to feel that they're not losing control of the whole situation, and mom and dad are going to take full control and do a big mess up that could possibly backfire on the kid way more. Because he's already had threats that you tell your parents, it's just going to show what a weakling you are. And so he doesn't want the parents to know. But if he's coming home bruised, he's coming home with torn clothes and other simonim, you notice emails and texts that look threatening. We're going to get to that soon. You want the kid to feel safe, that mom and dad can be spoken to, but also their reaction is not going to be extreme and therefore make me want to never speak to them again. Or just say, you know what, forget it, nothing happened, okay? Leave me alone. No, and he just runs up to his bedroom. So number three, did the bully know he hurt you? You remember we said at the very beginning, in the three possible definitions of bullying, one of them is completely subjective. It's not objective, it's subjective. Objective means it's this formula where the bully wants to maintain the imbalance of power oppressing the target, the victim. But the second definition, which is not objective, it's subjective, means I think I'm being bullied. Now, how do you know you're being bullied? Well, this boy made a comment and other people laughed. So it's interesting that you could have the same not nice comment or joke made at the expense of a kid and others laughed, and the kid who's on the receiving end laughs with them, and it means nothing, just water off the back of it. And you've got another kid who's a bit more sensitive and sees it in a different way and sees that as being intimidated or bullying, and all the other kids laughing makes him feel socially isolated, and before you know it, the kid in his mind is saying he's being bullied, and maybe that was not the intent of the comment, and it wasn't the intent either of the people who laughed along. I'm not making it either right to have made a comment or for them to have laughed, but maybe in the context of how it happened, many of us would actually paskin and judge it as, I don't think that's bullying. So it could be purely subjective, and that's why you really have to ask after you check off, are you okay? Are you hurt? And is this a one-time or has it happened before? And number three of this is, does the bully know he hurt you? And if he does, did he apologize? Because then you're coming home, the kid is coming home like all bent out of shape, but once you got out the history, it turns out that it turned out very well in the end. So why is he still bent out of shape? Because he's thinking about the nasty comment. He's not remembering the apology. He's not remembering confronting the guy, and the guy said, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it that way at all." But he's still replaying and thinking, because that's where we live, and that's where we hurt ourselves. So number four of this is there any way for you to laugh this off? Like, this is a vote of confidence in your kid, where you're saying, is there any way for you to laugh this off and grin and walk away, and the bully will know that it didn't affect you. He just missed the target. The pin, the skittle, refuses to fall. It's just too strong internally. If you can do that, and of course, you know you're more likely to not get comments like that again when he sees it's just water off your back. If, number 5 of this, you need to ask if you read the body language and facial expression and tone of voice that the child is really scared, you can ask, do you think you're in physical danger? But don't ask it, do you think you're in physical danger? Do you think that, like, don't make it sound like dramatized, sensational. Keep it calm. Don't panic. Do you think that you're in any danger? And if he says yes, and you sense that he means it sincerely, so that's an indication to work very quickly with the school to separate the bully from the target, whether it's in class or whether it's on the bus, until we have sorted this out. We're going to see what we're going to do to sort it out. There's two basic plans. Plan A is building the kid inside out, but also Plan B is a plan of action of, do we confront the bully, the parents, the teacher, the school, or perhaps all of the above. So number 6 of this, ask, are you ready to revisit our 3 metaphors? Meaning, let's go to building resilience inside out, because that's the real core issue, is I'm stronger than anything the bully can throw at me. So I'm not going to get thrown down. And if I do get knocked down, well, guess what? I'll just pick myself up. And I'll be strong. So ask the kid, and you'll be able to read from his body language to what extent are you ready to revisit the 3 metaphors? The $20 bill and the Skittles, the pins, the bowling pins, and of course the Rolls Royce versus the Chevy. We're going to talk about when we wrap this up and go to the practicals, we're going to make a very super kitza of the whole of this presentation that's only on the practicals of what you focus on as a teacher in the classroom or at home. But right now, that's what you want. You want the kid to understand that the way we're going to deal with this is 2-pronged. Number 1, inside out. We're going to reveal the bully-proof vest that you've been wearing all along, and you always have on you. And number 2, we're going to take action as is necessary, whether it's speaking to the bully directly, and we're not going to take action without your assurance, meaning we don't want you thinking that this is going to get out of hand. It's got to be with your full consent so that you are fully buying into how we're going to deal with this. Number 7. Are you ready to visit the 10-pin bowling metaphor or the Rolls Royce versus the 67 Chevy metaphor? And if he is, you go through it again with him, so he is reminded about what true inner strength is about. I am strong. The Tselem Elokim is what powers me. My thought is me all the time, without exception. I experience nothing outside of my thought. I experience no emotions outside of all my emotions, all my feelings are 100% thought all the time, without any exceptions. And though the power of those metaphors is to help bring that out for the child, to recognize I am valuable. Nothing can make me feel anything without my permission. No one can go inside of my brain and press anxiety button, anxious button, depressed button, sad button, excited button, feeling lousy button. No one can do that. I can. But the good news is, even if I experience in that thought feeling lousy or bad about myself, or I feel intimidated by you, or whatever it is, the fact that I will recognize it's my thought and not really you directly, it's my thought. Oh, so I'm only ever one thought away from recovering from the previous feeling caused by my thought, triggered by outside circumstances. No. It's never what's outside, because you can have the same kid responding in 2 opposite ways to the same thing, depending on who I am inside. Years ago, I might be intimidated. Today, I would be like water off a duck's back. Or it might be the other way around. When I was younger, I was more resilient, and now I'm so bashed up, I think I'm a 67 Chevy, almost anyone can hurt me, and I'll feel hurt. So we're always changing, and we can always change again. We can always do teshuvah. We can always change our mind. We can always go to the next thought, or just let this thought, ignore it completely, and let Hashem reveal the next thought, because He's powering my thoughts. You can still choose what you want to think about, what you want to focus on, but you can't stop thoughts coming into your mind. They parachute in all the time. That's coming from Hashem. So we covered that a lot in Midas. Let's move on over here. So number 8 of this is, do you feel powerful enough to confront the bully yourself? If the answer is yes, so do you want to role play at home right now how you're going to come up to the bully, and let's say in the cafeteria, in the common room, or in the dining room of the school, and say, hey Mike, I just want a quick word with you. With a smile and confidence, and pull him over and say, you know what, I've noticed that there's 2 parts inside a person. There's a strong part to a person and a weak part. So I want you to know I'm talking right now to the strong part of you. And I'm telling the strong part of you to tell the weak part to lay off on the harassment. And I'm also here to tell you that the stronger part of you knows it's true, that that's not who you want to be. You do not want to be the weak guy who's harassing other people, because that's coming from weakness. So I'm here to tell you, you can. You can. And I'm giving you 2 thumbs up. I'm wishing you good luck. The stronger you is going to overcome the weaker you. And you just walk away. Now, it doesn't have to be such a long speech. It could be even shorter than that. But the point is, you want the bully to see you're not bullied, to see you smiling. And with confidence, you're telling him, hey, there's 2 parts to a person. There's a stronger and a weaker part. And I'm talking to you, the stronger part. And I know you can overcome the weaker part that says, I know that what I'm doing is not right. I know that what I'm doing is hurting me. I don't get hurt, you're getting hurt. I could get hurt, but I'm choosing not to be. But you're hurting yourself. So you don't want a whole lecture. You don't want this to last more than 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And even if he makes comments, which he may very likely do, which are schneid or nasty, you just walk away with a smile, knowing that you did your part and that he will be thinking about it. There's no question he's going to be thinking about it. So that's just one way you can handle it with your kid. Role play it a few times till your kid has really done it really good. And it's not a script. It's inside out. A script is outside in. You're not acting this, you're being this. This is who you really are. You're strong, and you're talking to the strong part of him. You don't believe believe that he's really a bully. He may choose to say things and make himself look like a tough guy and cool, and he's got all the power, but you know that's not the real him. The real him is not him. That's weakness. What, to put other people down, that makes you strong? Why can't you be strong because you're strong? So when the kid feels that from inside out, that's how he's going to find the right words to say to the person who's hurting him. Number 9 of this is, can you get your friends to help you? This is big. We've talked about the 85%. It's probably much more in the frum schools, maybe close to 95, 98%. Can your friends come to your side? Oh, the bullying's taking place always in private? That's interesting. I mean, he hasn't got the security of being able to do this in public, because you know he's going to get shouted down. But talk to your son to explore, your daughter, explore the possibility of bringing anyone from the 85%. Now, this is something that should be worked out in advance in the classroom as part of the training, so to speak, that the teacher is training the kids in the classroom about what bullying is about and what we will tolerate, what we won't tolerate, and how it really works inside out. So that the teacher is going to be calling upon the class to all agree in advance. We're building community between us. We're building a sense, a culture of collaboration, of support, of being there for each other. And the moment we notice any of us falling from that standard and saying an unkind word, we just be very nice about how we're going to correct that person. And if they don't, then we're going to talk about it a little bit louder until it becomes super clear that it's not cool or powerful to be nasty, a bully, intimidate, say unkind words, to curse, or insult, or compare, or insult parents to the boy or girl's face. Your mum's so fat. She's this one big slob. Does she ever stop eating? Does she not sleep at night because she's eating all night? No, whatever horrible, unkind words anyone might be capable of, we want the teachers in the classroom, certainly at home with parents, but teachers in the classroom to talk up front about bullying so that it's really clear what it's really about. And when someone is playing the game of being more powerful than someone else, it's not true power. Because true power is inside out. And power like this is outside in. And it's never real power. Because the more pressure you put, the more this is going to want to liberate itself when it can. It's like a spring. Push the spring down. The more you push down, the moment you let go, the spring is going to be liberated and free and go even more in the other direction. So, and certainly watch out in case the bully ever becomes the patient of the victim, who is now a brain surgeon and is the only one in the world that can save the bully's life. Go figure. It could happen. It could happen. You never know. So that's not a reason not to be a bully, but we're just saying make the culture of the classroom so that the friends can be called upon and reminded about their role. So that either together or separately talk to the bully to cut it out.